I've covered my telephone support system alpha in metal paper so that the controllers can't get to me. Beep, beep, beep. Yeah. So here I am. Oh God, it's so hot, which is a good thing. I'm about 2 hours, I don't know, 2 hours southeast of Bordeaux in a parking space, and I'm going camping and going to visit some people that I know well, medium, and not very much. So that's cool. And so yeah, first of all I'm going to the mysterious Rennes le Château, the camping place, the campsite near Rennes le Château, where I stayed a few years ago, and it's rather nice. And I phoned the woman up yesterday and she said that they weren't open yet because it's the month of May. She said that they opened in about June. Oh, it'd be nice to be under that, but there's a fence. But she was British, and I sort of persuaded her and said, oh, you know, let me just park up. And she said, well, we haven't cleaned the toilets or showers. I said, it doesn't matter, just let me park up. So that's cool. So I'll have the whole camping place to myself. And there we are. What am I? I'm about 2.5 hours away, and it's about, what time is it? About 3:30, I think, in the afternoon. I left at about 10 or something. But how lovely to drive down through, as they say, through France, really. There we are.
Light persuades me, light persuades me of misdemeanors and cave painting.
Hot camembert sandwich. Moo! We're about half an hour away now, and really in the south. We've passed Carcassonne. So, and it's still, I saw 43 degrees written on one of those pharmacy signs a few minutes ago. It's still hot, and it's nearly 6 o'clock in the evening.
Took a plasticine models of the Eiffel Tower and smashed them in the fire. Her t-shirt was made of ripped memories and her dangling. Jacqueline took her spray can in her jacket pocket and caught the train to the Milk Hotel. Stayed in a bubble room from 1969. The rumours were that the Velvets once spilt their hearts out onto a sheet and a rusty cloud in the adjacent room.
Windy, windy, windy roads of concrete. Whiplash, girl child, tarmac, yeah. Ooh, 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 pretty.
She paid for the room 2 weeks in advance.
Not the kind of
She locked the door.
for the faint-hearted, or for those who don't have a spare wheel. Who on earth could I mean? Oh, but today is not the day in the middle of nowhere that we are going to have a puncture, nor until we get back to the UK, and even then not. I hope I'm going the right way, but whatever, it's very, very pretty. Oh, there are holes, there are holes. There are holes in my buckets. Don't go over the edge. I remember Dad, when I was young, we were driving our caravan, me, Dad and Mum, up in Italy, up the mountains in Italy. What was it called? I can't remember. Really steep, and Dad just got vertigo and had to stop. And it was a really thin little road, and some kind chap who had a car, who was behind us, and lots of other Italians beeping, stopped and got in, and Dad went into the passenger seat, and he drove us to the top of the mountain, to the village, which, the other side of which, was a motorway going all the way up, newly built. Oh, I remember this. Wow. A bit of peace and calm. A bit of peace and calm. Wow, let's see where we're going to go. Not as though I'm going to be in anyone's way, because the campsite isn't even open yet. Oh man. Oh man. Oh wow. Now, what better place to sit and play guitar and write poetry? Perfect. I've just had my shower, cold shower. Did I say earlier that the campsite isn't even open yet? Pam and Russell said that they don't open till June, but because I asked them on the phone if they wouldn't mind me staying, and they kindly let me have the place to myself. But yeah, cold shower, freezing after 35-40 degree drive down. But what's this I have here? What's this? In what was cold water? This was my fridge. So there we are. God, that's gonna be good. Nighttime reading of choice tonight will be, appropriately enough, where is it? Rat Scabies and the Holy Grail. It's Rat Scabies, as we know, was for a long time the drummer of the Damned, and the music group The Damned, who had the first punk single, certainly first British punk single, but then what other kind of punk is there? And in 1976, and with New Rose, as I'm sure we all know. Anyway, rat scabies, and so here I am near Rennes le Château in this campsite. Rennes le Château that I will most probably, which is about 5 miles away, which I will most probably visit tomorrow. Which has its mysteries or not, and we are in the land of the Cathars, but it's not really to do with the Cathars, it's to do with the Knights Templars and all that kind of thing, and true or not, believe it or not, which I don't think I particularly care either way, but I do like a good yarn, and it is a good yarn. Anyway, this is about this book, which I've read before many years ago. It's rather amusing and quite nice and sort of true-ish. It's about rat scabies who has some kind of affinity with Rennes le Château. I mean, it's quite an old book now, so whether he still does or not. And he would come here, according to the journalist who ended up living next door to him, he used to come here, rat scabies that is, about once a year, looking for buried treasure and the mysteries around. So there we are. So I shall read that to get me in the mood for priests and buried gold and the Habsburgs and Pierre, what was his name? Pierre Patin, you know, and the lineage, the blood lineage to Christ, which was all made up and put in the French Bibliothèque Nationale or something like that. Anyway, there we are. Rat scabies and the Holy Grail. So it's the next day, and slept very well in a deserted campsite in the middle of a forest. And here we are, maybe 5 miles from the campsite, on the way up to Rennes le Château. Rennes le Château with its mysterious qualities, and maybe we'll meet rat scabies, and he asks me to form a new punk band with him, and I go, hey ratty baby, yeah, why not? Anyway, that's mysterious enough, some might say, but we have more mystery on the way, on the way, on the way, on the way to Rennes le Château. Well, it has a little bit of a feel of Portmeirion to me. Not much, but a bit. There's the famous priest who came here in about 1885 and dug up a treasure. Was it the Holy Grail, or was it just treasure, or what? We don't know. So yeah, the story, as far as I remember, and I haven't really read up much for this time, but in about 1989 or 1990-ish, the book called The Holy Blood and the Holy Grail, and I read it, and it was very interesting because it was a good story, and I like a good story. But what has stayed in my mind is the following: that, and we believe what we want to or not, but as I say, stories are good, mystery is good, and we can add to it or take away from it what we wish. And he came here in end of the 19th century, 1885 I think, which is probably round about the time that Alfred Jarry was in class doing his pataphysiques. And so is there a link there? Let's make one. Why not? And maybe I'll go to this cafe restaurant if it's not too expensive, but everything is expensive. But that's the nature of the beast these days, especially in touristy areas. Anyway, he dug up some treasure, we call it treasure, and then soon after that he became very rich, as far as I recall, and his bank account having not much in it, then had quite a lot in it. And I seem to recall, but again, how much of this has been made up in the stories, well, I don't know, but then he was visited by important people such as the Habsburgs, stuff like that. Is that true? I don't know. And I suppose there would be records if it were true. Things like that would be easy to check out. And his bank account, I guess, would be easy enough to check out. Bound to be records still around. But some people say that he discovered the Holy Grail, and some people say that he discovered a treasure, or some people say that he discovered both, and that there's treasure buried here. And up until about 1965, or even later, people would be digging around because they thought they'd found the clues. Apparently he left the clues in the church, which we will visit later, and so lots of people go and study, and there's loads of books about, you know, why the statue is facing in this direction and that kind of thing. That's about it. I think it's time I should have something to eat, really. More later. So we've had a rather nice lunch, and let's go and visit some stuff.
She locked the door. Click! Locked her bags and sacks, tipped the contents from her bag. A helium balloon escaped from a nearby doorway. Ain't that always the way? Ain't that always the way? I forgot to remember not to let her wander too far. Hope is a four-letter word when you're down on rubbers. The curtains bristled with never-to-be-forgotten stories from 100 years of misplaced and sometimes disgraced and sometimes wrapped in lace liaisons. Jacqueline held her mirror up to the moon's bright light to see what would happen. Floor 4 in a tall building is like floor 5 or 6 when you've broken the law. When you've broken the law. Her lipstick was bright red, just the right colour for writing on the white, off-white, grey, stained walls. A last message, a first message, a hello, goodbye. It ain't easy being a spy when you're a bank robber at heart. She stripped off diamond glistening light, caught droplets of fate and illusion. She was still sad that Dylan had gone electric. Her small bag was full of Lego and roses. She built a house, just like she always had them. Although they'd always lived in a canal boat. She signed the wall with 3 kisses and a loud noise. 3 kisses and a loud noise.
So we were in the church earlier, as I'm sure you gathered, where the devil was and all that kind of stuff. And now we are in the museum, in the garden, the orangerie, the orangery. What do we call it in English? They constructed this little attachment there in about 1901, which apparently has a word in Hebrew for repose. Beautiful as Wales. No, very beautiful. pretty high up. I wonder where my campsite is from here. I think it's over, it could be anywhere. I think it's over that way.
September the 21st, 1891, he recorded the discovery of a tomb. He must have found his way into the tomb of the Seigneur of Rennes, but no one since has ever been able to find the entrance. Saunière, in fact, had also taken to some rather curious nocturnal excavations in the cemetery. The village council had to make at least 2 official complaints before they could put a stop to his desecration of their ancestors' graves. What was the abbé looking for? It has been said that the parchments which he found in the church must have put him on the track of an extraordinary treasure. It's certainly true that he began spending large sums of money. In 1901, he began to build. First the Villa Betania, then the Tour Magdala. He laid out his domain with its fountains, its trees, its avenues, and in his personal paradise, the abbé laid on sumptuous entertainments, long remembered by the villagers. But in 1909, a new bishop took over in Carcassonne. Monseigneur de Beauséjour demanded that Saunière should explain the source of his wealth. An investigation and a trial followed, resulting in Saunière being suspended from his priestly duties in the village, which sentence remained in effect until his death on the 22nd of January 1917. Only one person shared his secret, and that was his faithful servant, Marie de Nardreau. More than once she said that Monsieur le Curé had found a treasure, that with what he had left, Rennes could have been fed for 100 years, and there would still have been more. She also said, Padre Ménage, my poor children, you're walking on gold, and you don't know it. To anyone who expressed surprise that she lived so meagerly, she replied, I won't touch what belongs to Monsieur le Curé. It's sacred. But she promised to tell everything to one person, Noël le Corbe, who had bought the domain from her and who cared for her in her old age. For many years, she had promised to tell him a secret that would make him a very rich man. But in 1953, she died without being able to keep that promise. After her around the world. You'll find a brief outline of that story in Rennes le Château's museum. We hope you enjoy your visit.
Text read by Holy Grail.
Maybe I've been dreaming too long, singing the same old song, waiting for the anthem to cease, taking lobsters into the Parisian raindrops, taking lobsters into the Parisian raindrops.
Rennes le Château and the mysteries it holds. And now I'm back at the campsite, and I'm still the only one here. The rat scabies and the search for the Holy Grail. At the end of the chapter that I've just got to before filming this, a woman is talking to the journalist who's writing the book, and she says, Rennes le Château speeds up your karma. And he says as a final sentence to the chapter, I'm not sure if I was ready for my karma to be speeded up. And maybe that's a little how I feel. Not that I'm not ready for it to be speeded up, but yeah.